All right.
And Mr. Mayor, we do have a quorum for our PDC business. We don't have enough yet to do the bylaws change, but let's work our way through the agenda because we do have a quorum for our regular business.
Okay. First, I'd like to welcome everybody to the meeting. First, if everybody would join me in a moment of silence. Okay, thank you very much. New members, Mr. Ayers, are you still on the phone or on? Hey, do you know what happened to Jimmy? Did he?
I think he's gone.
Jimmy, hey, Dwayne, Jimmy said he had another meeting for work at 5 and he was going to have to get off.
Okay, all right. And is there any other, the young?
We have Amanda Kaufman representing Robert Hiss in Bedford County.
Yes, yes. And I was looking for that piece of paper. So other than that, y'all welcome to everybody. Welcome to the meeting, and we will move on. Next, Miss Bonnie, are you still on?
I am.
Well, we have a recognition and resolution for you for the time that you have spent. And you know, I am really disappointed because it took me 2 years to learn how to pronounce your last name, and now you're leaving. So, but we have a resolution recognizing you for your time on the board from 2016 to 2020. That you've served as treasurer of the commission from 17 to 18, and whereas from 2016 to 2020, you've been on the board. And we would like to, instead of reading the whole resolution, we will get it to you. And we would like to thank you for your time and dedication. And it has been an honor and a privilege to get to know you during these last couple years a few years that I have been on the board. So on behalf of the commission, we would all like to thank you for your time and your dedication and the virtual handshake. So thank you very much. If anybody else would like to say anything, please jump in. All right, moving on. Approval of the May 21st, 2020 meeting minutes. They're attached. Has everybody had time to review them? I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I was at that meeting and read the minutes, and I would make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Have a second, please.
That's Frank. I second.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Any discussion on it? No discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're gonna, from now on, we're gonna switch it and go to Mr. Para's way for anything. It is easier if we're just gonna ask for the no votes, and then we can count the yes votes up from that. So next is the approval of the rural transportation plan. Mr. Smith, see you again.
Okay, thanks, folks. So some of y'all weren't on the TPO meeting a little while ago. There, the TPO policy board approved the urban work program for the year. That basically, this is now time to do the rural. And basically, what these documents do is they guide how we are going to spend our resources at the staff level for the next fiscal year. So I will not go through the entire document. But I will go over a couple of highlights. We received $58,000 from VDOT to serve our rural areas, and the rural areas are basically everything, all of Appomattox County, most southern Campbell County, including the towns of Brookneal and Alta Vista, central and western Bedford County, including the town of Bedford, and then northern and western Amherst County. So we receive less funding to serve a larger area, but we try to be as efficient as possible with that money. One of the things that we propose to do this year, and I talked about it a little bit in the last meeting, Campbell County has asked us to conduct a corridor study along Village Highway in Rustburg between Rustburg Elementary School and Rustburg High School. They have some middle school construction activities that are going to be taking place soon, and they want to make sure that the traffic flow is going to operate as well as possible through that area. So we're going to get some consultant help for that because we need some traffic engineering assistance, but we'll also be providing staff support. That roadway actually serves as the boundary between the urban and the rural areas. So we're going to use a portion of the money to help pay for our staff activities on that. We also have the alternative transportation planning activities. That's helping especially the towns, Brookneal, Appomattox, Alta Vista, and Bedford with bicycle and pedestrian activities. We've been working a lot with the town of Bedford recently, but also with Alta Vista, Appomattox not so long ago with some trail work and things like that. And then we provide the localities with assistance on smart scale applications, other grant applications, mapping, and other requests as they come about. But I'm happy to answer any questions. If you look on page 8 of the rural work program, you'll kind of see how we have budgeted out that the $58,000 from VDOT is matched by $14,500 or 20% from the PDC. That comes from the PDC budget to total $72,500. That amount has remained constant over for as long as I can remember. We've received that same amount of money from the state to do rural areas.
Okay, does anybody have any questions of Mr. Smith? Okay, we have to approve this. Can I have a motion to accept the transportation plan for 2021?
Chairman, this is Frank. I make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Frank Rogers. Have a second, please.
This is Dean. I'll second it.
Second for Mr. Dean Rogers. All those, well, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Next item, the approval of the Planning District 2021 budget and work plan. Mr. Gary and Ms. Rosalie.
Yes, I'll take it. I'll start it and then we'll take questions. We bring you a balanced budget for next year. It has several programs from this year that are carried over into next year. Dues remain the same from our localities with no increase. We have cleaned it up a little bit, taking out the new planner position that we did not fill over the course of the current year, and have increased contractual services, expecting to be able to respond to grant opportunities or other COVID-19 related opportunities. Several projects are completing, like the town of Appomattox, Meadowlark, Appomattox County Tornado, and some projects are starting new, like the town of Bedford South Bridge Street CVPDC project. We have a work plan that goes with this, and ask that a single motion cover both the budget and the work plan. Rosalie, can you think of anything else to add to the summary?
No, I think that it's the same budget they saw back in April. There's been no for April, so there's been no changes, and nope.
So what questions might you have about the budget and about the work plan?
Mr. Chairman, this is Frank, if I might.
Yes, Mr. Rogers.
Gary, thanks for the summary and the budget information. Can you just refresh me on the staffing piece? See where we're not including the planner that we had put in, but you've increased contractual. I don't think that's a dollar for dollar offset. And am I recollecting correctly that we took money out of fund balance to basically front the payment for that position in anticipation of getting grants down the line. Can you just sort of knock the dust off my recollection of what we did with that planner position and then tie that into what you're looking at in the budget here, please?
We didn't necessarily take money out of fund balance. We were going to use it out of fund balance if we needed to. So it's a matter of drawing it down as we need it. And because we didn't hire the position, we haven't drawn anything down out of that. We may well still need to come back in the future about that position, but with Scott leaving and a new person coming on, we thought another consideration was to see how that person fits into the organization to make sure that we are using our people to 100% effectively. It's a matter that with the COVID-19, several of the projects are on hold. The ones involving rideshare or people getting in cars together or bus van pool sharing. And to some degree, the Chesapeake Bay projects, because it's an educational program, has been put on hold as well until folks can start talking about clean waters again instead of the COVID-19. So waiting a bit we think is a better scenario. But we may well come back when the time is right and when the right demand for the additional services. Kelly, can you suggest anything else to add to Frank's comments? And you are muted. Yeah, you're still muted, Kelly. Well, unfortunately, you're still muted. So.
I'm sure Kelly would have added value to the response, but I think I got the information I needed. So thank you,
Okay.
Gary.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions for Mr. Gary? Ms.
I do,
Rosewood?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir, Mr. Rogers.
I don't know what to add into it, but I mean, we're covering the whole next year. Sometime during this year, HDR is going to come out with a redevelopment plan for CVTC, and I'm sure we'll turn to you for help with something. I don't know what it'll be at this point, but there is no mention of it anywhere in the plan.
We will be ready to assist when you know where to go. Kelly is already working with that committee, with the committee, Megan's committee, and the consultant on that project. So we're at the table. It's just a matter that the consultants have to do their magic.
Yeah, well, you know me, I can't look at a piece of paper without looking for those 4 letters.
Okay, anything further?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Hardy?
Gary, I'm obviously new to these meetings, so is this the appropriate point to ask a quick question about WIOA on the budget?
Yes.
Sure.
That's the workforce.
Yes.
Program.
The workforce money. So what's the anticipated carryover of workforce money from this fiscal year?
Let me toss that to Rosalie. Do you have a sense?
Yeah, right now it's probably going to be about $500,000, actually. Each year we do have carryover, and we need it because we don't get our funding for adult and dislocated until October. So, and things have slowed down this year as far as the training, of course, and those kinds of things. So the budget for WIOA in our budget, I want to say it's more of a placeholder. It covers salaries and those kinds of things, but for every expense we have revenue to cover it. So it may not mirror a budget that the WIOA board put out.
So Rosalie, can you tell me how much in this fiscal year was used towards training, whether it be for youth and adult combined? But if you have a breakdown of youth and adult, I know there's regulations that have to do with only 25% of the entitlement can be used towards youth. And 75% has to go towards out of school. Do you know the amount of money that was used towards training?
Off the top of my head, no. I can send you our May report, and that breaks it down by funding stream, and it will also have how much was program cost, and I can send you the detail for training specifically.
Okay, can we also find out how many individuals were served with those dollars as well across the region?
Yeah, I'll ask. I know who I've paid for, so sure.
I'm just concerned. I know I've seen a pattern of that. There's a lot of carryover, and in the past, there's not been a lot of money used on actual training, which is one of the most important perspectives of the money. That's the whole goal, is to get people trained and into the workforce.
Okay. I'll
Thank you.
I'll send you the detail.
Thank you.
And you are, Mr. Hardy, you are right that is the purpose. We want to strengthen our workforce programs and strengthen our workforce services to our businesses.
Okay, any further questions? No further questions. Can I have a motion to accept the budget and the workforce plan?
So moved.
Okay, may I have was that you, Megan?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Frank.
Thank you, Ms. Bonnie. Any further discussion? All those opposed, just say hey. Okay, none opposed, motion is carried. Next is Mr. Christian.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And before I start, did somebody else just join us on the telephone? Have a new caller? Nope.
Ben Bowman's here. I was on, but I got cut off.
Well, hey, Ben. Do you have anything to, did you hear the comments that we were talking just a few minutes ago about the workforce program, workforce spending? Anything you want to add before we move on?
No, I went to take my phone off mute and my phone died. My apologies.
Okay. All right. The next item has to do with a request from Campbell County to join the regional radio system. That was approved Tuesday night with a change to the agreement. That change will be presented to the regional radio board on the 10th of July. If the regional radio board approves it, it will be circulated to the legacy jurisdictions, that's Bedford, Amherst, and Lynchburg, for their approval, and we'll bring it back to you on at our July meeting. But take this opportunity to ask any questions you may have about it. Campbell is going to pay about $1.6 million to buy in, and they will become full members. The radio board will incorporate 4 towers into the current 16-tower system. And once the system's in place, maybe a year or a year and a half, the various public safety officers will be able to communicate to each other seamlessly with a flip of a switch on the public safety radio. So does anybody have any questions at this point? I'm not going to ask you to take action until the radio board itself can consider the small change that Campbell has asked for, which we expect them to approve and then bring it back to you at our July meeting. Everybody okay with concept?
Getting in awful cheap, Frank.
1.6 million, Dean? You got a different economy out there in Amherst. Would very much welcome any questions or concerns from the PDC at this time, just because we're anxious to get this moving. So I don't want to get further down the road and have any delays. So if anybody has any questions or concern, we'd love to hear them. Excited to be joining the regional radio board system. Appreciate Amherst, Lynchburg, and Ben's willingness to participate with us in that.
Mr. Chair, I spoke with the Director of Emergency Communications a little while ago, and she said that all systems are go on this, and Lynchburg is happy to welcome Campbell County to the regional radio system.
I appreciate that, Bonnie. Gary, I understand that there was a tweak to the amendment language that you want to take back to the radio board, but I wonder if the PDC is not willing to authorize it contingent on the radio board's subsequent approval. We seem to be going back out to them, then back to us. If the PDC is okay with Campbell joining the radio board, can we take action on that today? If the radio board objects, we'll bring that back to the PDC in July.
Mr. Chairman, sounds like I heard a motion there.
Yes, sir, me also. So it appears we have a motion on the floor for that. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second from Ms. Bonnie. Is there any questions of Mr. Christie or Mr. Rogers, since his group is coming in? And Mr. Rogers younger, may I straighten that out?
I appreciate that reference. Thank you.
He hasn't yet acquired his D.
Oh. All right. Okay. Being no discussion or questions, I will ask for all those opposed to please signify. There are no opposed, so it is carried.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, indeed.
All right. It does not appear that we have 12 people. Is that by your count, Mr. Christie?
That's correct. We have 8 voting members, and we need 12 to change the bylaw. So we'll have to postpone that comment for this section for another day. Although if there is any discussion, it might be good to talk about it, to hear thoughts about the idea of the chair succeeding themselves.
Okay, we'll take some comments and then we'll move it on to the next one. Hopefully we'll have a majority. But is there any comments?
Yes, I'll make a few, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
So just to share a perspective that I have on the matter when it comes to the rotation, I think in a regional format that it is appropriate for everybody to take their turn, if you will, is laid out in the bylaws. You know, I would not think that it's going to impact in any negative way the running of the CVPDC by the chair being a different person from the community in the rotation. I think we're all professionals and elected representatives, and should be able to run the meeting effectively as it is. Also, just as a point of notion, even though the consideration of the bylaws has a stricken part that says that the chair may not succeed himself. If that was stricken, the way I would read the bylaws is still not enough because the next part of the bylaws says the chair shall rotate on a one-year basis by governmental subdivision in alphabetical sequence until the governmental subdivision has had the opportunity of a commission member to serve as chair. And so forth. So striking that, I don't think even changes that. I think you'd have to have more alterations to the bylaws if you wanted to accomplish that. But again, I'm just not in favor of accomplishing that. It's no offense to the current chair. I hope you won't take that. It has nothing to do with Mr. Tuggle. I think you've been doing an excellent job from what I've seen. But I just think that there ought to be equal representation and on this board or any regional board.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Any further comments?
Mr. Chairman, this is Frank. I'll just pipe in. I too don't see a compelling need to make the change at this time. I know it's been on a couple of agendas now and we haven't had the necessary head count. So recognizing there's at least a couple folks who aren't in favor of the change. I don't know what the mood of staff will be to make that amendment going forward, but just want to alert everybody to the fact that I have not experienced a compelling need to make that change in the bylaws. I think Mr. Hardy makes some good points about the benefit of rotating through the membership.
All right, any further? Okay, we'll move on. The other business, the hazard mitigation electronic meeting for June 28th. Anybody want to pipe in on that?
Let's see, Kelly, do you have voice? Do you have a voice now? There you go.
Yeah.
We have voice.
Yeah, I wanted there is a misprint there. That meeting is June 25th, and all of your localities, I have provided information to go into your board packets, and your staff has put information on your locality websites. And we've also given information for your Facebook post, if you do that in your localities, to have the correct date, which is the 25th.
Hey,
But if there are any questions about the public meeting on the 25th, I'll entertain those.
Any questions for Ms. Hitchcock? Okay, moving on. Town of Bedford, Independence Boulevard 221 intersects public meeting. Does anybody have anything they'd like to?
Scott, jump in there and talk a little bit.
Sure, I'm bringing up my calendar, make sure I get the date right. So we're doing a lot of online meetings right now, but based on the phase 2 reopening, Town of Bedford requested that we do an in-person public workshop to share the recommendations for our Independence Boulevard, Longwood Avenue intersection study. So we have scheduled that for Tuesday, August the 4th, to try to give some time for these reopenings to take place. Tuesday, August the 4th from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Bedford Welcome Center. So there at that meeting, we will be sharing with the public the recommendations. I think there are 3 kind of tiered recommendations for making improvements at that intersection. And so we'll start promoting that a little bit closer to the time, but it's on the schedule for Tuesday, August the 4th.
Okay,
In-person meeting, not an electronic meeting.
In person. At this point, it's in person.
all right. Last one here. Mr. Christie, you want to set up a schedule for the scheduling of an executive committee meeting?
Yes, I will be sending out a poll looking for the convenient time to get together. And I expect this will be an electronic executive committee meeting. Can I see some head nods? Do you agree that do an electronic one? Okay.
Yeah, that'd be fine. We can all bring our lunch and sit in front of us and have a lunch meeting.
And then I'll send out some dates and times. So heads up, that's coming. Yep.
Okay. Future meetings, July 16th at 4 is the TPO, and be followed by the Planning Commission at 5.
And we do need to talk about whether that's an electronic or in-person meeting as well.
Yeah. But right now, I'm leaning towards another electronic. It depends on the consensus of everybody else. Does anybody else have any strong feelings one way or another?
This seems to be working just fine.
Okay. let's schedule the, if there is no objection from everybody, let's schedule the 16th meeting as an electronic meeting and can be played by ear from then on. Is that a consensus, everybody? Shake your head, yes? Thank you. All right. The Virginia PDC virtual summer conference starts in July. I've been put on the slate, just to let you know, on the slate for board of directors. And so they told at the last meeting, they said I'll be voted in, and I believe it was July 25th when they were having their meeting to vote on that. So that's just to let you know. And then the next meeting is an August 20th meeting, and for the TPO and PDC, and I would say you'll figure out how that's to be handled come the July meeting. Is there anything else any of the members have they'd like to bring forward?
Mr. Chairman, this is Frank. I didn't get a chance to unmute when we recognized Ms. Severchek, so I don't want to miss the opportunity to just amplify the recognition for her. As many of you know, I've known Bonnie for a few years now. She has always been a tremendous regional partner and been a pleasure to work with. So Bonnie, congratulations on your retirement. Thanks on behalf of your regional partners for the work you've done in collaboration with us. Look forward to staying in touch. So thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to hop back on that.
Yes, sir. Anybody else? Oh, Bonnie, you're muted. It looks like you're trying to talk.
Sorry. I just wanted to say thank you for the recognition, and it truly has been my pleasure and honor to work with both my peers and the elected officials over the years in helping to move our region forward in a very positive way. So thank you.
Megan, were you going to say something?
Yes, I have two things to say. First, just to update you for really, I'm doing this for Dean Rogers because, you know, I like to see him, make him happy. But HDR is has begun executing on the Central Virginia Training Center redevelopment plan. Kelly, I think, sat in on the briefing. HDR addressed the target advisory group. We have put together a target advisory group that's about 35 to 38 people, regional people, both from regional, you know, so that's everywhere, who have an interest in what happens to the Central Virginia Training Center. And it's both public and private sector, and includes local government as well as state government agencies are participating in that. Right now, HDR is in the information gathering phase, and so working on gathering a GIS data for the entire region, so they can start putting their base maps and baseline information together. It's an ongoing process, but it's an exciting process, even if it's being done digitally. And so you may not know it, but your offices have been helping provide the GIS information that's needed to HDR. So I appreciate that. And then the last thing I'd like to say is, Bonnie, the great news when I heard that your retirement was extended a bit for us. So I think that was great news. But as always, your vision, your passion, and your leadership have significantly impacted me, the Alliance, the business community, and this group as a whole. So I'm glad we'll still see you around the room.
Thank you.
Okay, if nobody else has anything, I'll have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Bonnie and Ms. Megan. All those opposed, this shouldn't be a question, but I'll ask. All those opposed? It's carried. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care. See you.